Hello and welcome to episode 183, there we go, of First Geek 411. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin, and with me, as always, the auditioner herself, Emma. How you doing?
Hi, doing pretty good. Coming straight out of auditions, which is a wrap for auditions, and we will be confirming our people for Mr. No longer Candyman, but it is Candyman, just under a different
Yeah,
name.
similar
Pretty
but
soon.
legally distinct from any other character with
Yeah.
this name that, I feel like we could have thought of when we were helping,
To be fair, I had no idea that there was an urban legend around the name until like 3 months ago when I started seeing trailers. And I was like, well, that's a problem. But yeah,
joining us and clearly ready for spoopy season, Shanine. How are you doing?
So spoopy.
Much spoops?
Yes, very spoops.
So I feel like every episode before we get started, becomes weather chat. But is it just bitter cold by the time you get to Halloween in Canada?
Usually, yeah.
Okay. That's kind of how it was when I was in Connecticut, and I was just basically as soon as the sun went down, it was just freezing. I'm like, how do people trick or treat in this? I'm used to Texas where it's
Snowsuits.
yeah, there's a decent chance in Texas that it's still 70.
yeah. It's very similar in Washington. It's common practice in Washington to build your costumes around like warm clothes for it getting cold. So
I like it.
yeah.
People, let us know what's the weather like for you when you trick or treat. And that'll tie in, obviously, with some of our spoopy themes for this month. And this week, we got some mild spoops. We got Doctor Who, we got Ghostbusters, and then we got some general spooky talk. And then we'll be kicking off a month of themed top threes with our top three spoopy IPs. And so, before we get into that, listeners, as always, you can find us on our social media at OneGeek411 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can join our Discord server. You can also send us an email at 1st@geek411@gmail.com and check out our show notes on our website, onegeek411.com. You can also watch live on Twitch each Monday night at 6:45 Mountain Time, and you can find the videos over on our YouTube, where you can find our Dune Book Club that went up today as of recording. You can also rate and subscribe wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, and check out our Redbubble store. Let's get into what we've been up to. Emma, why don't you start us off?
Speaking of the weather, um, I mean it's not the most exciting thing, but I find it a little bit of exciting. Here in the state of California, it is finally getting into fall weather. We just had rain today, which every person living in California freaks out about. But it was very exciting. So it rained today, and that made me happy. Not the biggest deal, but it's just a little something that happened that it's good to appreciate the little things in life. So it rained today, and it made me happy. Um, and then we just finished up auditions for Confections, as it's now being called. Um, and that was exciting. And I've picked up knitting again, and that's something I quite enjoy, and it's a nice little pastime to unwind. So that's been my week, and yeah,
What are you knitting?
a scarf. That's the only thing I can knit. But it's very enjoyable, and it's I can like watch Netflix or something else while I knit, and you get something cool at the end. So
And then for new listeners, what is Confections, formerly known as Candyman?
oh yes, it is, as I've started telling people, a joke. It started as a joke, and it is essentially this short film that I am making in grad school about a dentist who hates other dentists. So at night, he is a cheesy DC villain, um, going by Sugar Plum Puck or Sugar Plum, and he likes his puns and goes around stealing dentist equipment. So that's that.
How do you like audition? Like, so are the people you're auditioning, are they other students in the grad program, or are they just other people at the school?
They are people in LA. So
Okay.
it's none of the above. There are several websites in existence for casting. Um, there's one that we're using specifically that USC, the school, has like a deal with for union and non-union actors and things. So we basically go on and make a posting or a listing of our project and the characters we need actors for, and then actors can go in and um, apply for the role. They can submit headshots and reels and things, and then we can then schedule auditions with them through that same website. And we just go from there and um, do all that fun stuff. So,
That makes way more sense than what I thought you did. Like,
yeah,
when you were first talking about one of the previous projects, I was like, so it's like the same 8 people and you just change roles? Did not realize that
no.
that it was much bigger than that. That's
So we have a team. We have our core team of three of us who rotate through the roles of like director and producer and cinematographer and things. But for like the actual cast and crew outside of us, we have to like find all of those people. So
that's really cool.
yeah, looking forward to it.
I can't wait to see it, even though I anticipate having to make my stance on puns well known.
There are several puns in there already for you, Cameron.
Shanine, what have you been up to?
All right. Well, we are keeping up with My Hero Academia now. Um, I was hoping Chris would be on tonight so he could get excited
Yeah,
about
I'm
it with
I'm
me.
hyped. I'm super far behind, but I'm so excited for you.
Oh man, it's so good. And like, no spoilers, obviously, but the last, like, I don't know, half the season has been My Villain Academia.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I love that the show can just ignore its main characters for like 8 episodes and nobody cares.
Yeah. So you at the end of season 1?
No, we're like season 5, whatever's
Oh,
on
just kidding.
TV right now.
Oh, okay. So like it comes back to my villain academia.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so far
Yeah.
behind. I think we've seen through season 3, but I'm not confident in that. But I think that's correct. And then like we got behind and missed season 4, and then like season 5 was starting, and so then it was like, well, we're gonna have to wait to get Funimation again. We might as well wait till all of season 5 is out, and then watch all of it.
Yeah. I think it's getting there. But yeah, every season just gets better. It's such a good show. And we also watched Free Guy this weekend because it was free on Disney Plus.
Oh,
Yay, Canada.
oh, that's right. We talked about that. I was like,
Yeah.
classic Canada. NordVPN sponsor us.
I tried. Disney Plus has workarounds that recognize VPNs, which sucks, but also understandable. So
But yeah, it was enjoyable. I think the people who were hyping it up saying it was like the best movie of the year may have overstated things a bit, but it was funny and it was enjoyable. I liked it.
It looked like the type of movie that I would be happy to watch but not pay for. Like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of the
yeah,
of like I couldn't like see myself going to the theater to watch it, but I'm definitely planning to watch it once it gets on Disney Plus here.
Hmm.
from what I've heard, it definitely caters more to us nerd folk than anyone else, um, which is, fine and great, and I enjoy that kind of stuff. Um, but it definitely isn't like groundbreaking in terms of any like storytelling techniques or anything. So,
No. Yeah, I think like in it's all about a video game and stuff, so the way that they portray gamers and like stuff like that seemed pretty accurate. And
my favorite YouTuber
they
gets a cameo in the movie, and that makes me happy.
yeah, there's a ton of cameos. Um some of them are very surprising. It was fun. And then yeah, there's a bunch of like video game callouts and stuff. I recognize none of them, but my husband recognized a bunch of them and he'd be like, "Oh, that's from Halo. Oh, there's Fortnite." And I'm like, "Yep." Yeah. And it was good. The humor was Ryan Reynolds. It was
Yeah.
funny. There was one like completely throwaway line that I just lost it at. Laughed for like a full minute. It was so hilarious.
What was it?
Okay, so this is not like a spoilery moment, but basically he thinks someone's about to kill him, and he's like, "Please, I have a goldfish."
The goldfish saves the day.
Oh man.
That seems like a great line to use at work. Please, I have a goldfish.
Yep.
Fantastic.
So for me, over the weekend, I finally got the Platinum Trophy in God of War
Woo!
after much
Yay.
Raven hunting. Um, and then
Those
Gorilla.
ravens are boogers.
Yeah. Um, then like I was kind of at the point where like I was using a guide, except the guide that I was using kind of just listed things not in the order you would find them in the level, but in the order of like here's where all the ravens are. But if you needed multiple things, you had to like reference different parts of it. And so like that was a thing. And like it's one of those that like in hindsight it was probably better because I didn't need to get everything. I just needed to get the like certain things. But it definitely just made it a little bit more challenging and very much like reinforced the fact that I just did not look around. Like it's one of those where it's like, oh, if you just walk over this one place and look down, it's obviously right there. And it was like, nope, had no
The
intention of
ravens
looking
are,
down that hole.
yeah, the ravens are very much like if you're when you're there the first time and you just wander around a bit, you'll find them.
Mhm.
But if you don't look, you won't find them.
Yeah, very few of them. Like I think there was only really one that was actually like hard to see. And then the it was just that they were always in weird places.
The one I know I had the most difficulty getting was the one flying around the
Yes.
post in the middle of the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those were really bad. Um, 'Cause there was one that I came across like that earlier in the game, where like I hadn't gotten the axe maxed out because eventually you get like a rune that makes it so like gravity doesn't pull your axe down when you throw it, and that makes it a little bit easier to hit those ones. But like the first time I came across one, I'm like, oh man, my depth perception is like so bad like doing this, and it's like I would finally get it lined up and then I wouldn't throw the axe high enough, and then I would get the axe to the right height, but then I would miss time with a throw, and it was just like, oh man, I was here for like 5 minutes trying to hit this one raven. Um, but overall, great platinum. Definitely could have gone with less collectibles, but really happy that I took out the Valkyrie Queen when I did, because I can't really see myself trying to go back and do that fight after like being so far out of the actual like combat of the game. But yeah, I cannot imagine how many tries it would take me now to beat that fight. So
Too many.
yeah, although my character is like objectively stronger now, Like I didn't have stuff maxed out when I was doing the fight, which in hindsight is something I definitely should have done. But oh well. And then also this weekend on stream, I started playing The Last of Us Remastered, which was a ton of fun. I haven't played the original The Last of Us since it came out on PS3. And I did the thing where like I beat the game and then I actually have the multiplayer trophies in it on PS3 and then just never went back and touched it. Like all I have left is like the collectibles and then I guess like the difficulty stuff. But like I just never went back and did it. And so I don't think I'll be getting the platinum in this because it has multiplayer trophies, but I've definitely really enjoyed playing it. I forgot how cool Tess is. Like Tess is awesome. And yeah, it definitely. I feel like this is like I don't know if this is the same way for y'all with like certain types of like IPs. I just love to pick apart like post-apocalyptic survival like IPs. Like I feel like when you like going through those, there's so many things of like obviously that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Or like that's just a like awful idea. Like there was one in the portion that I played where you're like popping up from under a door and no one looks around. They just like move the door and jump up, and it's like, what? Like why? Like that's how you get like that's such an awful idea in this world. But here we are.
Yeah. I definitely have inner commentary about some things like that. Just like no one would wander up to the top of this very clearly structurally unsound skyscraper just to walk across a bridge and go down the other side. Like
Yes.
that seems like a very dumb idea.
It seems like an awful plan in the best
Yeah.
of conditions,
In the best of conditions.
let alone when one of the characters has like vertigo, like
Yeah.
and is like extremely afraid of heights. But you know, um, oh man. But other than that, I don't remember if I mentioned this last time we talked, but I've been training for a couch to 5K. And so that has been indeed something.
It has been a thing.
Yeah. Varoth is in chat and says, yeah, for running. And so it's not awesome. But I feel like I'm doing fine. Like it's one of those of like, kind of like, I feel like the reason I don't like running is why everyone else that enjoys running loves it. And that's like you get to be in your head. It's just you thinking, and then it's like you're not competing against anyone. You're just competing against yourself. And like, I'm just like, man, I guess I got podcasts to listen to. I just want to like talk to people. Like that's why I always liked team sports. But definitely excited to get in some better shape, and hopefully doing this will at least be something that that I can do to kind of just like motivate myself whenever Deanna goes out and just demolishes me on runs. Like at least now I like have a goal that I'm working towards. And she's out here like training for a half marathon and I can like barely run half of a 5K. So, you know, at least there's that. So
At least you have something. You're
yeah,
starting somewhere.
you know,
That's always me with swimming. Like I love swimming and like you get that mentality in some ways that people have for running. But like I don't get it for running specifically, but I get it for swimming because that is very much so like no one can interrupt you. But running I've never understood, honestly. So kudos to you.
it's again, it is indeed something.
It is something.
I guess with that, let's jump into our discussion topics for this week. Emma, what do you have for us?
I have a thing that kind of follows up last week's news that I think is exciting for me. I don't know about Shanae, but at least on my Doctor Who news threads, Billie Piper, who played Rose, um, would happily return to Doctor Who if the circumstances were right and the story were right. Um, it follows up last week's news of Davies returning, um, and I find that exciting because I am in as part of the minority, love Rose as a companion and would love to have her back. Um, and yeah, I just think it's exciting. Like she would happily return with the right circumstances happening and um yeah, she I just find that exciting and if anyone has any thoughts or one way or the other, um go for it.
I did really like Rose. I think if Billie Piper were to return, I'd more want to see like more Bad Wolf stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Billie Piper, so
She really grew on me. Like I wasn't a huge fan during the Chris Eccleston portion, but she really grew on me once David Tennant shows up. And I think like throughout her time there, I really enjoyed her character a lot more. I really enjoy and like she's the first one, but like I really enjoy the characters like her that bridge the doctors changing. Like that's one
Yeah.
of those roles I really like. I like that dynamic of seeing how does their dynamic with the doctor change as the doctor becomes this like new person. That's one of the things that I really enjoy. And again, she's like the first one to do that in New Who. But in this article from Screen Rant that you share, I like this quote. Despite fan interest, Piper stated earlier this year that she wouldn't be returning to the show because of the way the role dominates your life and because she would have to spend a long time away from her children. Sure is interesting that she's now saying she would be interested in coming back. I wonder what
With
happened.
Russell T Davies.
Wow, like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's like the
Uh,
most like backhanded like it's like no, I'm not interested in coming back unless you now make this
yeah.
director like or
It's very
showrunner.
clear
Yeah.
that Chibnall was not the greatest person for
No.
the job. Um, and it's Russell T Davies too, who she worked with in her time there. So like there's already that working relationship um, established between them, uh, which is great and
Mm-hmm.
definitely in the same vein of Shanine. I would love to see more of that whole Bad Wolf um, sort of side of things play out. So even if it's not like directly the character of Rose, like as
Mm-hmm.
a person, if it's that side of like even what we saw in the 50th anniversary, like I would love to see some more of that, like if she does come back. So um, yeah, I just think it's something that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of go ahead, Cameron.
Yes, I hope we get to see something like this. That it's one of the things. I know I've said this before as we've talked about Doctor Who, of like one of the things that really confused me at the beginning of the show is that it's pretty much all linear. Like it's not really until we get to like to the library that we start getting those hints of the doctor experiencing things out of time order for him.
Yeah.
And I think in an IP that is about time travel, it's so cool to see those cameos and callbacks to people that have been on the show in the past because they fit so naturally because they were there and you can just go visit them. Like,
Yeah.
And so it's as someone who like that's part of the show that I've really connected with. I really am excited to see her. I hope to see her come back.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, and even with Russell T Davies returning, um, that has mentioned that he's going to be the showrunner for the 60th anniversary. So I can definitely um, see, like, obviously, I have a feeling that Billie Piper would return in some form. sort of happily for the anniversary. But since it's Russell T Davies, like I can see her like wanting to do something a bit more, possibly, and I can't put words in her mouth, but
I did the thing I was going to try not to do, where I accidentally hide Discord and minimize the video for a second. So hopefully it's not too bad on stream, and people probably might not have noticed if I hadn't just said something about it. So, so as part of Shanine's topic, we have a little bit more spooky, but so leading into what we're going to be talking about there. We have been getting rumors of a new Ghostbusters video game. And it's by the people that did the Friday the 13th and the Predator Hunting Ground video game. Neither of which have I ever played. But so that the idea that people are thinking is that you would basically be a team of Ghostbusters hunting down ghosts cooperatively, and then maybe even one player is like the big bad. You're a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man's or something like that. And as part of that, basically you would get to have this cool like Ghostbusters RPG, where you get to like level up your characters and get new gear and all that kind of stuff. Are y'all interested in a Ghostbusters potentially cooperative video game?
if it's done well, like it's definitely a whole world and concept that lends well to co-op video games, but as a universe that's already very well established and loved by such a big group of people, it's definitely something that they would have to sort of do well, instead of just making for the money or whatever. Because it's already, we've got these films and all this other stuff. Like, it's definitely, I would love to see it and play it and just see how it plays out. But yeah, I think it's definitely something that would lend well to that format of media, as the whole universe already sort of centers around that kind of, there's a team of people going out to fight ghosts or whatever. It's just a matter of doing it to
The game has to be fun.
Support.
That's
yeah, it
kind
has to be
of
fun, and it has to add to the universe rather than just doing the same thing all over again or just detracting from it. So
Yeah, I think like it has the potential to be really great. Like I enjoy that kind of level of spooky that's like a bit more cheesy than spooky, especially in video games. Video games get real scary real fast.
yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. I haven't played any of the other Ghostbuster games, so
From what I've heard, you're not missing much. So, yeah, I kind of just echo what like Emma said. Like, I feel like it's one of those things that like on paper, this is such an awesome idea. Like, especially because I feel like one of the things that was always weird about the Ghostbusters is that in the first movie, they go and bust all these ghosts, and then just like they're broke in the second movie. And it's like, well, there's no problems anymore. And it's like, or people are like not believing in ghosts. And it's like literally the whole movie was about these ghosts. And like now it's just fine. And so I feel like that type of or like this type of IP is perfect for a game where every mission is just like y'all are going out, you're busting these ghosts, you're coming back, leveling up your characters.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of fits so well into that, into the established canon of the game. And like, I don't think they would do this. If it's a co-op game, I don't think this would do it. They would do this. If it's like a single player game, I would also really like for there to be levels where there's not actually ghosts. Like people are just crazy, that kind of thing.
It's all in their heads.
Yeah, I think that that would be very like a very interesting take on that on the fandom of like, nope. Sometimes people are just wrong, and there's not actually anything there, and you have to choose to take that job, and then you lose money because you don't bust any ghosts. Like, I think that would be super interesting. I don't know if I could see them doing that, but I think that'd be an interesting idea.
I mean, the whole like yeah, like I said earlier, the whole universe does kind of lend to um and in many ways like is a very good idea that can translate well to the media of video games. It just has to be done well um in order for it to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't just do it halfway and expect it to do well.
And this does seem like the perfect time for a movie like or for a game like this because the movie I had to look up the date, but Ghostbusters Afterlife comes out November of this year. Like,
I realized there was a new movie coming
mm-hmm.
out.
With Finn Wolfhard as one of the main
Okay.
characters.
I knew there was the one that came out a couple years ago with the all-female team, and there
Mm-hmm.
was a bunch of
Yep.
outrage from middle-aged men about it, which is a whole nother
Mm-hmm.
conversation. But
Yeah. Yeah. And then kind of seeing this news and seeing other people get really excited about this got me thinking like I enjoy Ghostbusters, but I would by no means call myself a Ghostbusters fan. Like I feel like I'm the person that gets like excited and then doesn't go participate in that media and then forgets it exists. Like I'm like in chat, we'll shout out Varoth again. They say, "Man, the '80s Ghostbuster movies was dope or terrible. I never figured it out." Like I kind of feel that way about it. It's like I really enjoy this, but do I?
yeah,
Um, and so kind of with that, um, do y'all have any experiences like either with the Ghostbusters fandom or other fandoms where that's kind of your like, oh, I get super hyped about this and never actually participate in things?
there's definitely franchises that I'm like, oh, like this is a really interesting franchise that I enjoy the content of, but I don't get into it and wouldn't really consider myself a fan of it in the way that like I consider myself a fan of Doctor Who or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ghostbusters is definitely one of those like kind of like what you mentioned. Like I enjoy the movies and they're very fun um, to watch and are a good source of entertainment. Um, but like I wouldn't say I am a fan because I don't really know the super. I'm not super knowledgeable in like the lore or anything. Um, I'd say another one in that area is for me is Star Wars. I enjoy the movies and they're pretty fun, but like I'm not super engrossed into the Star Wars world like many people are. Like I go to see them when they come out, but I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take up my entire life. Not that that's a bad thing, but
I think Star Wars is one of those for a lot of people where you're either like super in or you're the like I went and saw it in the theater and that was enough. Like not even in a bad way, but just like I saw it, I enjoyed it. That's kind of my
yeah.
like
I like to call that being a casual fan.
yeah.
Like I enjoy it. I like it. Like I'm willing to pay money to see it in theaters and play the video game at some point in my life, but like I don't participate actively in like the Star Wars fandom
Mm-hmm.
uh, or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really think of anything that I'm like not a fan of to the level of like Ghostbusters, where it's like I enjoy it and have like nothing else to do with it. But like, I don't know, I'm kind of, I guess, like an on the fence fan about like Star Wars as well. Like, I really enjoy it. I'll watch them pretty much anytime and the shows and all that stuff. But my level of knowledge is like zero. Like, I've seen the movies multiple times and I still get confused about the planets' names and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think, like, for Star Trek as well, I'm like, I don't know, several seasons in to um TNG, and I've seen a few episodes of Voyager and stuff. Still like way too new to it to call myself a fan, I guess.
I feel like that's for a while that was me with like the new Star Trek movies. Where like I would go see them like pretty quickly after they hit theaters, and I really enjoyed them and was like would get into the like the, oh, here's the Easter eggs, that kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
then like for some reason like the third one came out and I just didn't go see it. Then I didn't go see the next one, and now I have no clue what's happening in that fandom. Like,
Same.
um, and I think another big one for me is the Jurassic fandom
Yeah.
of
Mm.
like I really like Jurassic Park, and I like honestly didn't realize until like Deanna and I got married that I've never seen any of the sequels. Like
Did you see the first ones?
I'd just seen Jurassic Park and I enjoyed it, and that was good enough for me. And like I'd seen Jurassic World, and though in the reboots, but like, well, reboots in air quotes, um, but like it's one of those fandoms that like I enjoy. I can't wait for the new movie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see it, then probably not think about that fandom again.
I have sitting in one of my several boxes of books, the Jurassic Park book, that I've been meaning to read. And I've read the first couple of pages and it's a very enjoyable read. And uh, it's like, obviously, it's the source material for those. It is, I was surprised at how enjoyable it actually is of a read. Obviously, I haven't finished it yet, but like, it's a very pleasant and it adds to that whole world, um, which granted it doesn't say a whole lot because it's the source material where it all started from. But um, yeah, like my brother-in-law was getting rid of it, so I just like took it because he was getting rid of it. But yeah,
We've done the audiobook for it. We did that on a trip. Actually, I think the trip that we ended up seeing you on, Emma.
oh
I think we did the audiobook on our trip to Colorado last year. Um, but I enjoyed it. It's one of those like I really liked that book, and I don't know if I would ever go back and read it again, but not because it was bad. Again, I really liked it. But listeners, let us know, what are some fandoms that you enjoy but you're a casual fan of. You don't really keep up with. Bonus points if it's a spoopy fandom.
ooh,
So that can be tie in with the season that we're in. And speaking of spooky, Shanine, what do you got for us this week?
Yes, all spooky all the time.
ooh.
My life is spooks right now. I wear the spooks, I play the spooks, I read the spooks, I watch the spooks. What activities will you be doing this spooky season? Either that you always do or that is new this year and you're excited about.
So this was one that I mentioned um, before we started, but a group of friends and I are going to um, Universal Studios next week for their like Halloween night. They have a like a Halloween event that they do throughout October leading up to Halloween, and it's a couple of our friends' birthday. So we're going to Universal Studios for that next week. And that's something I've never done before, so I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be a spooky thing.
Is it like a scale like Fright Fest kind of thing?
Yeah, they have like areas that are they have like mazes that you can do, and like they call them spook areas. So like they have some of their attractions set up as almost like haunted houses, that you can go through with um, haunt actors and things, and um, it's just like a whole they transform the whole park, if you will, for Halloween, and um, just do these fun events. You can go on, you know, through these mazes and just do spooky haunted house type things. I just got my ticket tonight, so I don't know all the details of everything they have, but um, yeah, it looks like a lot of fun, and we're just gonna go as a group and enjoy it. Um, but I also want to at some point go to like a pumpkin patch or something like that, because that's something that we do every year, or I like to do every year, that adds to Halloween and October and fall. That's just fun, and um, enjoy the outdoors. So,
When I was in Connecticut, every year we went and did a corn maze, and that was always a ton of fun. The place that we went was awesome. Like they had multiple really good mazes, and then they also had like kind of just like concession type stuff, and there's some other stuff you could do, like some other games and stuff like that. And so we would always go do that, and it was a ton of fun. We a couple years ago went and did a corn maze here in Texas with some friends, and it was awful. Like you could like see through the maze kind of thing,
yeah.
and I was like, well, um, and it was just one of those that was kind of sad.
Yeah.
For kind of like what I was saying, like I feel like a lot of mine are like fall traditions more so than like specifically like spooky. Of like I eat a ton of candy corn during this time of year, which is why it's great that I'm doing this couch to 5K. Um, but like that's always just kind of like one of my fall things of like it's fall, I eat candy corn. Other people are excited about pumpkin spice.
You're excited about
I
the
just,
candy corn.
yeah, I just want my candy corn. Um, and then um, I think we've done it 2 years in a row, but we basically did the like people who don't have kids like get together and do something for Halloween because none of us want to like hand out candy because we want to just eat the candy ourselves. And so I'm not sure if we'll do that something specifically like that this year, but that's always something that was a lot of fun. Last time, well, I guess we probably didn't do anything last year, um, but 2 years ago we went and did an escape room with some friends, and so something like that, just some sort of like fun activity with the group. We might do like game nights kind of stuff. Um, Nothing's been planned, and it's this month, so I'm not sure if something's happening, but here we are. Um, but yeah.
If anyone is ever in Washington State, there is a fabulous corn maze, um, that is probably one of the best in the state. It's shaped like the state of Washington, and they have structures built to represent landmarks and everything in Washington State. But it's like super good. So if you're ever in Washington during fall, I don't remember the name of the farm right now, but it's great, and they even do like spooky maze nights. Um, Let me know. I can send you the name of the farm when I remember it.
Post it in the Discord that people
Yeah.
can join.
Shanine, what about you?
We also have a corn maze. I feel like I have to talk about it now.
Mm-hmm. Is it a good
It's a
corn
diff
maze?
It is. It's a really good corn maze. They do a different shape every year. So it's always exciting to see what they've done. I'm hoping to go this year. So, yeah. Um, Growing up, I was a Harvest Festival kid. So I am new to the spooks and I love it. I love the spooks. So I don't really have any like traditional spooky things. but I don't know. I've made like a whole spooky bucket list this year, and I'm super excited for all of it.
Yeah, I think didn't you post that on social media?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did.
I was thinking I remembered seeing that.
Yeah, and I've added stuff since then, but
What are some of the fun things on your spooky bucket list?
so something that is new this year is the Muppets Halloween special that's coming out.
I
Like
was
a
not aware of this.
Neither was
June.
I.
It comes out this month. I'm so excited for it. I love Muppets. I love Muppets seasonal things. I'm pumped. It's coming on Disney Plus. I'm super pumped for that one. Um,
Oh, Muppets Haunted Mansion.
yeah.
Streaming October 8th. So, like,
Ooh,
super soon.
this week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember if it was like the 8th or the
Friday.
13th or
It's
like
on Friday.
sick. Okay,
I
so
look forward
yes,
to it,
there's
given the state of Muppet Island, which was considerably better. Um, I haven't seen a lot of Muppet stuff, but now that I know that's coming, I look very much forward to it.
yeah. Muppets Christmas Carol is probably my favorite Christmas movie. I'm okay
No,
with saying that. So I'm real stoked for Muppets Haunted Mansion.
I feel like, speaking of fandoms that I enjoy that I don't keep up with,
yeah,
like, I don't know if
Yeah.
I've ever seen something Muppets that I didn't like.
yeah.
But I also, like, don't think I ever really seek out anything Muppets. Like, it's one of those that, like,
Yeah.
You enjoy the material when you come across
yeah,
it,
exactly. Like,
but you don't actively seek it out.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. It's kind of like the thing of, like, I wouldn't be surprised if I've seen like half of the Muppet stuff, and I also wouldn't be surprised if I've seen like 10%.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those. I was like, I just
Yeah.
don't know what's out there, but I enjoy everything I've seen. Like,
My friends and I in high school, for whatever reason, got really into the Phenomena song for a while, and we would just sing it to each other at school. We'd walk by and go, do 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 do, Phenomena, frequently, and that was like the only Muppets thing we consumed for like years was that one song, and we would play it and sing it to each other, just as a stupid call and response type thing, and it was so entertaining.
I love it. Becomes like a meme in its own.
Yeah.
All right. Also, very excited to read Midnight at the Barclay Hotel, our book club book.
Our book club book that we will be discussing on October 28th, right here on twitch.tv/onegeek411.
Yes.
Mine just I was falling asleep the other night and remembered I needed to order it.
Yes, I still
So
need
I
to order mine.
purposefully ordered it when I was thinking about it. But
I put it on hold at the library. It's currently shipping.
Yeah, I'm not nearly as concerned about this one as I was about Dune and making sure I had a good head start for Dune. But
yeah, I think this will be a quick read. I've also been playing more English Eerie. The solo English rural horror. I love it. It's so fun. I keep spooking myself out. I went and it was completely dark on like that level of the house, and I let my dog inside and he came like zooming across the deck into our house, and the horror scenario that I'd currently been working on was about a beast, and I was like, ooh.
or the pupper.
Startled myself. I'm also hoping to try another solo RPG, Quill, Shadow, and Ink. So I've talked about Quill before too. It's the letter writing one, but Shadow and Ink is specifically like Lovecraftian. So I'm excited to give that one a try as well.
Exciting.
Yeah, I feel like that's another world of like the fandom that like I know. Like I have such like a shallow view of like D&D and like Pathfinder. And then there's like, oh, there's all of this other stuff. Listeners, you can let us know your spooky traditions on top of how you feel about Ghostbusters and fandoms you're not super into. And are you excited that there's a new showrunner to Doctor Who so that Billie Piper will actually come back? Um, and you can do that, of course, in the comment section, social media, Discord, all of those places. Let's get into some announcements, and then we will be doing our top 3 spooky IPs. So, streams this week. What do we got?
Yes, I will be streaming tomorrow. Something spooky. Forgot to talk to you guys before we went live. We'll figure it out.
Yes. I am, as always, as of late, very much up in the air. Um, Thursday is our green light meeting day, so we just have to make sure things are in ship shape order. So, maybe.
um, I will be streaming hopefully Metroid Dread on Sunday. Don't think we'll be doing like a first play because I don't anticipate being able to wait till Sunday to play. Um, and so I will probably just pick up wherever I'm at in that game and then kind of just see how it goes. And then, as Shanine already mentioned, our book club for this month, our book for book club this month, there we go, is Midnight at the Barclay Hotel. And go ahead and get going on that. Ordered mine literally as we were talking. And so that way I do not forget. And I also want to say, Deanna and I will be guesting on Mountain Nerds, talking about Star Wars Vision. And so
Nice.
I'm not sure if we'll be doing that or if that will air this week or when, but we are doing that, I think on Wednesday. And so I'm super excited to chat with them and to chat Star Wars. So let's go on and get into our top 3 spoopy IPs. If you're hanging out with us in chat, you can let us know, and we will give you shout outs. Shanine, why don't you start us off?
Okay. I couldn't think of any, and then now I have thought of too many. And I'm like, oh no. Um, I feel like my first one just has to be Supernatural.
That's a good one.
I love me my Sam and Dean.
Yeah. Those first couple of seasons, man. Good spoop.
Love it.
I've literally never seen that show.
Oh man.
It's definitely like, I'm gonna channel my inner Chris here. It, it's good, but not 15 seasons good. Like, I enjoyed all 15 seasons, but it's definitely for the first like fifth five ep or seasons, first 5 seasons or so are where it's all at.
It definitely evolves throughout its run. And there are some middle seasons that are not as good, but I
Yeah.
think it still ends really strong.
Yeah.
Is it the type of thing where there'd be like the episode list of like you can skip which ones to skip, which ones to actually watch? Like I know like they did that with like Clone Wars.
There are some seasons where that's the case. At least for me. It is kind of a like a kind of goes from person to person. Like, it just varies depending on who you are. But at least in my head, there are some episodes that you can, I wouldn't say a first watch through, skip some, but like if you're going back to rewatch, Like there's stuff that you can skip.
Emma, what's your number one?
My number one is one that I haven't participated a whole lot in, but I want to more, and that's BioShock. I've played, I think, about the first third of the first game, and haven't had time to go finish it or to keep playing or anything. But it's one that I've definitely enjoyed from what I have played, and it's a good amount of spooky mixed in with like interesting gameplay and like just play styles. So,
I've played Infinite.
yeah.
I noped out of Bioshock 2. I think I like started that one and was like, "No, I'm good."
Too spooky.
Too spooky for me.
Too spooky. Yeah, it's definitely a spookier one. I also like, granted, am for whatever reason not like entirely, but slightly fascinated by that like time era of like
Mm-hmm.
what is it, like the 20s or 30s. Like there's just something about that time era and like alternate versions of that time era that I'm so interested by and fascinated with, of just like it's very much almost like a Marvel's what if, but with real life. Like what if we went this different direction uh, with human society? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Of course, for me, I literally just talked about how Bioshock is too spoopy for me. And my number one is The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Which I feel like in hindsight is probably way more spooky than Bioshock. But like, um, I think The Last of Us is like just that line of what I can handle, where it's
Yeah.
not like all jump scares, but there's just enough anticipation of like what could be around the corner. And I feel like especially once you get into The Last of Us Part Two, there's a lot of the dread of spooky that like the payoff is that you don't actually get spooked. Like that
Yeah.
game does so much about making you afraid of an area that is completely empty.
Yeah.
And you just don't know it until you've like gotten through and they were just, oh, everything was fine here. Okay. There's like that environmental spooks are so crazy there. Um,
I was gonna put that on my list, but I figured someone else would, so
yeah, I
I
figured it might be on yours, so I wanted to get it
opted
first.
out. So I will put that in there. I contemplated it, but decided not to for the sake of someone else possibly picking it. Uh, but yes, I am on the same page. Good spoops.
Good spooks. Shanine, back up to you.
Okay. Being Human, the US version. Um,
What is this?
it's so good. So basically, you have a vampire, a werewolf, and a ghost, and they're roommates.
Hmm.
It's, yeah, it's a drama about their lives trying to blend into society and survive as what they are and their run-ins with other supernatural beings.
It's a supernatural horror comedy drama.
Those are
Says
indeed
Google.
genres.
Says
That was a
Google.
lot of things.
Yes.
I wouldn't consider it horror. Like it's monsters, obviously, but it's not like scary. And like there is comedy, but I feel like it leans harder on the drama side. But it's so good. Grew very attached to all of the characters.
Emma, what's your number two?
To appease my inner child, Scooby-Doo,
Oh, good choice.
because I loved Scooby-Doo growing up. I didn't get to watch it often just because I was a PBS kid, so we only had three channels growing up. Um, but I did get to watch it at like my grandparents' house and everything, and I was always so excited when Scooby-Doo was on. Because I loved it, and I loved the comedy and the spookiness, and um, obviously the dog. I was there for the dog. Um, but it was the right kind of like spooky entertainment that I enjoyed as a kid. Um, and I just found it absolutely hilarious, and I still do. I still love it whenever I get to watch it, just because it's like stupid scary, but like not in a bad way. And it's just it's the kind of humor and spooky that holds up. So
Mhm. Yeah, I completely did not think about Scooby Doo.
yeah.
That's a great like. I love me some Scoobs. For me, I had to ask if this counted before we did the podcast, and so mine is Harry Potter. Um, I like that take on witches and wizards, where it's a very like it's not intentionally scary, by like obviously it's especially at the beginning, and it kind of, as a series it kind of gets darker as it goes, as the world gets closer and closer to ending. Funny how that works. um, but I really like that you still get like those like kind of teases that there's more to this world like than what we're seeing, and there definitely is that like more scary side of what's going on, even outside of the obvious like Dark Lord, like Death Eater kind of stuff. Like there's still a lot of just like weird and scarier things going on. Um, and it's kind of one of those things that I feel like for some fandoms, there's the like, I would like you to just do one project that is completely like out there, but in this fandom. Like to do a, like, what does a dark thing set in the Harry Potter world look like? Like maybe where you have something like an Auror that's out like fighting dark witches and wizards, that kind of thing. And actually have like a dark mystery, like murder mystery kind of thing set in the Harry Potter world. Um, and so yeah, so like while not like completely spooky, I do like that does exist in that fandom. Janine, last one. What do you got?
Hey, Amnesia. Um,
Ooh, that's a good
so
choice.
my friends and I, we all played the Dark Descent together. Um, Highly recommend playing scary video games in a group. um, we got we still got super scared, and whenever it was too scary, we would take like YouTube animal video breaks or watch compilations of people playing Dark Descent getting super, super scared. And then we could laugh at them, and then we're fine going back to playing it again. But yeah, I just have such good memories attached to that. And it's a really great game.
I'll
That's
I'm
a
take your
good
word
thinking
for it.
about.
choice, man. I've only
Thank
ever
you.
watched Let's Plays of it, but it's a very valid choice. It's such a good,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. For my last one, I went with the spooky because it's odd, and that's Welcome to Night Vale. I wouldn't say it's spooky in
Nice.
and of itself, but it's like they it's not intended to be spooky, but it's very odd in the world that it presents. Therefore, it is kind of spooky. Um, and I'm very behind and catching up in it and listening to it. But it's like it's just this world of like you're not allowed to go to the dog park because it's where all the hooded figures gather, and like there's this random obelisk that shows up in the town center from time to time, and a magical cloud that drops animal carcasses or whatever. Like it's just
Sounds
like
awful.
they're it's like normal in that town's existence, but then you listen to it and you're like, that's very odd and spooky, even though it's not intended to be. Um,
think it
or
starts out that way. As
it
you go
starts out
on,
that
there's
way.
definitely some intentionally spooky
Yes,
things.
yes, there are like they have Halloween like episodes and like other stuff that they very much intend to be spooky, but it's also just like you can listen to an episode looking to be spooked and end up being spooked, or you can listen to an episode without wanting to be spooked and also come across that way. But it very much, at least from my interpretation of it all, falls very well into this category of like spooky, but because it's odd and a different take on the world, rather than like, yes, they're intentionally spooky at times, but other times they're not intentionally spooky. Um, so yeah.
It should come as no surprise to listeners, even just based on things that I've said this episode, and the fact that literally my last top 3 spooky, I talk about how it isn't spooky. Um, that I don't really do scary, but what I do is comedy. And when those cross over, it's great. And so my number 3 is What We Do in the Shadows. Um, we've been
Yes.
we really enjoyed the movie, and then we've really been enjoying the TV show. Obviously not for everyone, mature content, but that's kind of like my enjoyment of like spooky ideas. It's just like let's make it like let's make fun of these tropes, and so like I tend to really enjoy that, like the referential side of spooky rather than the actual scary part of it. Um, and yeah, so like what we do is like right up my alley of like these vampires living together, like having to figure out like what does, I love those takes on like what does like vampire culture look like. And it's just like over the top, like one episode like things are super crazy, the next one it's like, oh well, we need to do chores and we're so old that none of us have or like understand how like telephones work or things like that. Shout out to Travis in chat. We're werewolves, not swearwolves, is a great line from What We Do. And so yeah, so that's one that I've really enjoyed and like I hadn't really interacted with outside of the movie until recently. But it's definitely one that I've really come to enjoy like the past like 4 months. We've kind of just been binging the show. So
I gotta say, Hilu's been recommending the show to me constantly over the past couple of days, and I just haven't given it a second thought. But given your, current description of it, I just might have to.
definitely
It's so
recommend.
good.
Yeah. It's also like very consumable in the sense that like the episodes aren't like super long, and so it's very easy to just kind of like knock out an episode here or there. Like there are like longer storylines, but you can watch all like the episodes segmented, so it's not like because it is like airing on TV, so it's one of those shows that's not like it's not like The Witcher, which like probably should have been on my list, but like
Also a good amount of spoop in The Witcher.
yeah, but like that's very much designed to be binged, like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Um, and so it's very digestible in that. So, yeah. Listeners, let us know what are your favorite spooky IPs. What is it that you like about them? Add that to the comments that you're already working on um, as you've gone through. Um, and with that, I guess we'll go ahead and call this episode to a close. After, of course, I'm literally glad I opened my notes because I forgot. As mentioned at the top of the show, we are doing a themed top threes for all this month. And so I made a slight edit to one after we got going, but here we are. And so next week, we're doing our top 3 monsters. Then we're going to do our top 3 Universal monsters that you would like to see rebooted. And so Universal owns like the movie rights to Dracula and Frankenstein and things like that. And so what of those would you like to see back? And also as a shout out, because we almost got this like Universal monster like cinematic universe. So in this, it's also kind of like the what could have been. Um, and then to close out the month, we'll be doing the top 3 costumes that we've worn. Bonus points if you bring pictures. So I hope you'll be joining us for the month of October as we go through and share our top 3 spoops. You can find us and share your favorite spoops by going to OneGeek411 on our social medias, joining that Discord server. You can send us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. You can also check out our merch store. And then if you would like to watch live, hang out with us in chat, you can do that on twitch.tv/OneGeek411. And then you can find the videos over on our YouTube where you can like, comment, and subscribe, just as you can rate and subscribe wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Then you can also check out our website, onegeek411.com. And then you can find us on our personal social medias. I am Hugh Whithill.
I am not prepared with an I.
I'm the Hoot and Howl on Twitter and Hoot and Howl Tales, TALES on Instagram.
And it's been a great week.
Read a book.